Hey guys, welcome back. This is a follow-up review regarding my previous controller review of the DualSense or the DS5. The controller came out really well. I'm actually genuinely surprised at how good the controller held up in the last 4 weeks of getting beat down, playing a lot of Tekken, right, on this controller. And I'm actually really happy at how it came out. The controller had a lot of good, perks to it. The buttons, the D-pad, the triggers, they all had their own little, certain thing going on, right? But one thing I really want to go over is the buttons. The buttons were generally really surprising. As I was kind of playing with it, the more I kept playing with it, right, one thing that kept bugging me was the buttons being too, they're not too high up on the controller. What this could mean is possibly the controller getting a little numb on the buttons itself. I'm not too sure until time actually tells in the next 3 to 4 months, right, of playing this controller. But so far it held up pretty well. The controller is doing pretty good. I generally like the controller so far regarding the D-pad. But yeah, my only concern is it possibly getting more numb or more mushy, what people will call it. Kind of like the DS4 with the D-pad, right? I think it could be flipped to the buttons itself. Over to the buttons, just going over it's definitely an improvement still. I still think the new aesthetic of the controller, it feels really good. It feels really good in the hand, and I recommend it to a lot of people so far. I think everyone so far seems to be liking it as after I told them about it. Going to the D-pad. The D-pad was also something that is the highlight of the controller. Compared to the Hori Commander or the Razer Ryan, this controller had probably the best D-pad I ever touched prior to the one I'm using right now. My previous controller I'm actually using as a competitive controller is the Hori Poking, right? And this controller, the DualSense, is probably the up and coming. This, for me at least, right? I think it's a very, very, very good D-pad for it being a generally mainstream or the default controller for the PS5. And we haven't had a really good experience from the DS4, right, or the DualShock 4, knowing that it gets mushy after even a month of playing of hard Tekken or hard fighting game in general. I think that is definitely a big improvement from the previous generations, and I highly recommend this controller just from these two alone. If you play Claw, you're gonna have a blast on this controller, in my opinion. I think you'll love it. I don't play Claw, unfortunately, but I've kind of made it work, right? One thing that really kind of came up was the triggers. I always felt like the triggers were just too hard. Every time I kept using it, I felt like, you can even hear it right now, I'm pretty sure, but it has a very, very tough top where it fights you. It for sure fights you. But if you used the DualShock 4 before, it's no stranger to what you normally use. It is definitely really similar to the DualShock 4 in terms of the triggers, with a interesting triggers. The reason why I say interesting, because when I was in Tekken and I was trying to do, let's say, a Ray Jar or a Key Charge or even a Just Frame from 1+2 or 3+4, if you guys know Tekken, is pressing basically multiple inputs, right, to try to get some good Just Frames in on Chloe, right? There's times where inputs will drop. When you're going through it, right, it has a catch point kind of in the high middle. From what I heard in the PS5, you're actually able to adjust these triggers. Please leave a comment below if I got that completely wrong. But from what I heard, you can change the sensitivity of the triggers, so therefore it has a higher, input or a lower input depending on how hard you press the trigger. That seems to be a really good thing, but I really hope it's when you change it on a PS5, right, and you go to another PS5 and for a tournament, for example, will the input stay? You kind of see what I'm saying? Or will it go back to default? Is it a controller thing or is it a console thing? So that's one thing I want to bring up. It's pretty interesting overall. For your Call of Duty guys, analog, man, this analog is great. I never had like a complaint, even for the DualShock 4. DualShock 3, I tried, even the Switch Pro, right? Like this controller is pretty good for what it is. I tried it on Call of Duty a little bit, but, not a bad controller at all. To kind of wrap it all up together, I think the controller is a wonderful change to the whole dynamic of like playing fighting games or playing any game on this controller. I think it's a great investment overall. Even though it has a really high price point of, I think it's $70 USD. I recommend it to a lot of people. I recommend it to people who usually use the DualShock 4 for everyday controller. It is a game changer for sure. I think it feels great in the hands, everything like that. If I were to give it a quick review on a quick rating on it, I'll give it a 4.3 out of 5, maybe 4.5. One thing that I think it will bug a lot of people because the controller is kind of white, it gets kind of dirty. So just a heads up, for you OCD guys or girls, make sure to clean the controller quite a bit, or you're gonna get like that the hand goo. I'm just saying. If you guys did appreciate the video, feel free to put a comment below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible regarding the PS5 controller. And I'll see you guys next time, alright? Peace out. I'll see you later. Hey guys, thanks again for coming by and checking out my new video. If you guys could, give it a thumbs up and also subscribe and hit the notification bell next to it if you want to see any future videos coming out soon. If you guys want to request anything new, feel free to put it in a comment below and we'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks again. I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.